What's going on, guys? It's your boy Jacob from Topside MMA, and today I'm coming at you with my recap and results video for UFC 320. Now, the card was pretty damn awesome. Banger of a card. It was so much fun. I was out watching it at the bars with my boys last night, so it was a good night all around. A lot of fun fights, a lot of fun bets were hit. In terms of overall on the slate, though, ever so slightly negative. I was really pissed about this night because it really just came down for me. It came down to one parlay. It was really just the Patchy Mix. If Patchy Mix would have won that damn fight, would have been flying with clear colors on the night. I mean, literally, if this one fight went positive, it was the difference between barely being down less than half a unit to up, could have been up more than 1.4 units. So, really annoying and frustrating with Patchy Mix, but we'll break the fights down. We'll kind of go over it fight by fight. Now, first off, we had Veronica Hardy versus Brogan Walker. Honestly, Brogan Walker fight IQ needs to be studied because she was literally having success on the ground and towards the end of the fight, and she was looking pretty competitive in that third round. It's just she didn't do that at the beginning of the fight. I don't know what she was thinking. Veronica Hardy, her striking looked a lot better. I will say, though, Veronica Hardy didn't look as great as I thought she was going to look. I still thought she was going to win. Obviously, I had her as a high-confidence pick, but I thought she was going to look a little bit better than that. But next up, we had Ramiz Brahimaj versus Austin Vanderford. I wasn't too mad about this outcome. I tried to play a little bit cheeky with it. I thought Austin Vanderford, I thought if he was going to win, he was going to wrestle and he was going to have success. I thought if he was going to make it out of that first round, he was probably going to go to a decision. He wasn't able to do that, though. Ramiz Brahimaj looked great. I had a nice little live betting spot, but it was just for 0.1 units live money line on Ramiz Brahimaj. This was the beginning of the second round. He hits Vanderford with some big head kick, and I'm like, oh, it kind of shook him up a little bit. And I figured, okay, at this point in time, I think he's definitely down off the first round, but I mean, it's close enough and competitive enough to where, it could go either way. The second round, Ramiz Brahimaj was looking good. His cardio seemed to hold up, and the striking seemed pretty competitive between the two of them. So I like what I saw, and I figured, all right, for plus 200, I'll throw a little sprinkle on it, because especially it could go either guy's way. So that ended up hitting, but the other bets ended up missing. Obviously, Austin Vanderford to win, and fight starts round 2 ended up missing, and the Ramiz Brahimaj round 1 knockout. Obviously, a plus 2,000 sprinkle, very small, but ended up not cashing. And then it got a refund on the round 1 only prop. This was probably the best bet of the entire fight. So we did get a refund on it, although there were moments. But next up, Chris Gutierrez versus Farid Basharat. Now, ended up not playing this one. I was taking a shower, got cleaned up during this fight, which I was a bit shitty though. I really liked. We talked about in the full betting breakdown video. We talked about it. Sorry, I was pulling this up. We talked about it with the Chris Gutierrez plus 7.5 line. I like that. That ended up cashing. And the Farid Basharat via decision ended up cashing. So I was a bit pissed. I played both of those pretty loose. I didn't end up having anything on either of these plays, and they were good lines too on them. So, but can't be too mad. But in sense of that fight, didn't have anything on it. Macy Chiasson versus Yana Santos. I was not super surprised about this. I did think that Macy Chiasson was going to look a little bit better, and she had that extra weight. She missed weight. I thought she was going to use that to her advantage. She looked pretty poor out there. Wasn't able to get takedowns. Wasn't really able to have some success. And I was kind of mad at myself about this one because I did have it. I had it as a low confidence pick for this week, but I was a bit mad because I was like, all right, in my full card breakdown, I literally talk about it. And I think I talked about it in the other videos too. I broke down all the stats for these girls, and I literally said, watch my video. I said word for word. I say literally all the stats favor Yana Santos in this. Every single stat favors Yana Santos across the board. So I still picked Macy Chiasson, which I'm a little bit like, what was I thinking? All the stats were leaning towards Santos, and especially as a dog spot, it was good value there. And yeah, no, she looked good. She got the win, obviously clear as day. I was just kind of kicking myself a little bit for that one. But sorry, moving back. But yeah, overall, back, boom. But yeah, in terms of that fight, didn't have anything on it. Then next up, Punahele Soriano versus Nikolai Veretennikov. I added this cheeky little same game parlay. Punahele Soriano plus 1 takedown landed at minus 165, just a quarter unit, something small. I was just getting a little cheeky. I was pissed about the Farid Basharat fight. I didn't have anything on there, so I was like, all right, let me get back there. Then after that, I had a little sprinkle, Edmund Shabazian via round 1 knockout, tiny little sprinkle, 0.15 units, ended up cashing. Nail biter though. I mean, it was literally a couple seconds away from not going. It was close, but he ended up getting it, which was good. And then Patchy Mix versus Jacob Wicklocks. I was with my boy. I was at the bar, and we were sitting there having a drink, and I'm like, you know what? Before this fight happens, whatever happens here, I like this play. Even if Patchy Mix somehow shits the bed, this play makes sense, and I like it. This fight was made for a reason. Literally, I mean, Patchy Mix, great grappler. Bellator experience, beating high-level guys in Bellator that are much better than anyone that Jacob Whitlock's has ever beaten. The level of competition, not even close. The level of experience, not even close. Patchy Mix comes in, fights a high-level guy like Mario Bautista, doesn't look great, but short notice UFC step up. Okay, now he's got that out of his system. He's got the UFC debut jitters out of the way. Now, who are they giving him? They're giving him a guy from a different promotion. When they give you guys from different promotions, they set them up with unfavorable matchups for a reason. They don't want these other promotions to look great. They don't want them to really make the UFC not look like the premier organization that it is. So they do these matchups for a reason. Who do they give Patchy Mix, the grappler? They don't give him a striker. No. They give him the most favorable, winnable matchup he can have. They give him a chinny grappler from fucking Poland. What happens? Patchy Mix shits the bed. It's like, honestly, this one, I wasn't even super mad about it because in my mind, I still think it was a good bet. It made a ton of sense on paper. Patchy Mix had the experience. He had the higher level of competition. He got the UFC debut out of his way. He's older, more experienced. I mean, like, every single thing. This matchup was made as a favorable matchup for him. And he was out there losing grappling exchanges against the Jacob Whitlock's guy, who really is not that good to begin with. Now, I do think it was a bad decision. You know, I think Patchy Mix lost the first round. He clearly lost the first. He clearly won the third. It came down to the second round. It was a split decision. I think he won the second round. I mean, he landed 2 takedowns. The striking was neck and neck, and he had 2 takedowns landed, and he had a minute plus of control time. He should have won that second round. It was a shitty decision. But at the same time, you know, I'm not even going to call it a robbery because at the same time, Patchy Mix had such an advantage and he made the fight that close. He let it go to the scorecards. He made it that damn close, especially with the first round. He looked so bad that, like, I think it was a bad decision, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to scream robbery. I'm not going to be that mad. I like the play. I like Patchy here. You know, I still stand on it. You know, this was a good bet. I do like it. He just didn't end up getting the job done, you know? So at this point, I'm like, I don't know what you do with Patchy Mix. I mean, at this point, they're paying him a lot of money. He's shitting the bed. He's underperforming. He had a grappling match that was made for him to shine, and he somehow found a way to fuck it up. They should just cut Patchy Mix. Honestly, they should cut him. This was like, some picks, some bets make you mad. This one wasn't one of those. Like, I wasn't that mad. I was like, ahead of this, I was like, even if this misses, I like this play a lot. This makes sense. It makes a ton of sense. This isn't stupid. This isn't chasing. I like this. Makes sense. Ended up not going our way. And I think it was a bad decision. I genuinely think he won this fight. We should have been up on this. So I do think we kind of got fucked here a little bit. But it was, like I said, it was close enough to where I can't really scream robbery. You know, I'm not completely mind blown that he lost a split decision. Can't say I'm completely mind blown here. Maybe the UFC's just trying to get rid of him. They're like, all right, fuck this guy. Let's cut him. Get him out of here. Who knows? I don't know what's going on with him, but very bad luck. I ended up taking a little sprinkle extra on his live money line, plus 120. This was in the second round, and he ended up completely flipping. You know, at one point in that fight, he jumped to a huge favorite again, and the line completely flipped. I mean, halfway through that second round, or maybe it was the third. It was some point in that fight. It was either late second or early third. His line completely flipped, and I was like, all right, thank God. Because at the end of the first round, he was like a plus 200 underdog. I mean, like, the line completely flipped in the first, completely flipped the other way in the second. I'm so pissed off. I should have taken a little sprinkle on Whitlock's, honestly. It would have made sense, especially going on in the later rounds of that fight. I mean, Patchy Mix was looking really damn good in the third. Probably would have made a little bit of a sense to hedge it with the Whitlock's money line. That's probably the only thing I don't like about this. I probably should have done that. That would have made sense, especially because I had that big money line on him. You know, that would have probably made sense. But regardless of the fact, it is what it is. Charges to the game. Patchy Mix, your fucking ass. It is what it is. That's one of those. It's like, it's really not even that mad. It's just like a more disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. You know, that's what it is. But next up, Daniel Santos, Juseng Yu. You know, Juseng Yu got smoked. I like Juseng Yu. He was taunting, though, getting a little bit cocky. Got caught for it. I like Juseng Yu, though. Daniel Santos is a bit of a prick. But didn't have anything on this. Watch these guys. It was a good-ass fight, though. Fun fight to watch. But next up, Atiba Gatier versus Trusted Vines. Atiba absolutely cashed us, brought us home, made us some fucking bank. Shout out to Atiba Gatier. I don't even know how that fight was sanctioned. That's exactly how we predicted it. I mean, we had it. Sometimes the last couple weeks had a couple locks that have been a little dicey. At least we got a good fucking lock back in the fucking win column. Good to go there. But yeah, that was absolute cash. Now, Joe Pyfer, I actually hit a nice live money line spot on Joe Pyfer. This was after the first round. You know, Abbas was having some success in the grappling. I got him at about a pick 'em, threw a quarter unit on it, ended up cashing. So I was happy about that. Got a nice live betting spot there. Yusuf Zalal versus Josh Emmett, nothing on this. I did have him in a parlay that ended up missing. We'll talk about the very end. Oh shit, you guys can't even see it on my screen. I had him in a parlay. We'll talk about here in a second. But after that, yeah, nothing on that besides that little parlay. Then Yuri versus Roundtree. I was waiting for some hate comments about this. You know what though? This one made me mad. I was so mad about this. This fight proved to me more than anything that Yuri is just genuinely not good. He's not a high level fighter. I'm going to get backlash for that. I'm going to get hate for it. Technically, he is just not good. I mean, anytime he goes against a remotely decent striker, he gets outworked. I mean, Rakic fucked him up in the first round. Jamal Hill fucked him up in the second round. Khalil just dog-walked him for the first 2 rounds. Poatan absolutely destroyed him in the striking. I mean, he is not a good striker. He just abuses his cardio. He's like Merab. He is the Merab of light heavyweight division. He was the worst fighter. He just had better cardio. And that's honestly what I said, too. I literally predicted. I said Yuri's only way to win this fight is if he drags it on late and he wears Khalil down and he gets a late finish or a decision. That's how I've called it. I mean, I literally said that was his way to win. He ended up doing that. It's just so frustrating because I saw Khalil is looking his career best. I picked Khalil. I know I was the minority on this one the entire week, and I felt good about that pick. And, you know, in the second round, you know, Khalil's like a minus 1,000 favorite. I'm feeling good. I'm like, you know, this was the right read. I made the right read. Everyone else was wrong. I was right. That lasted for about two minutes, and then third round comes around. I see it within a minute. Khalil is gassed. He's just throwing haymakers. I'm like, he's fucked. I knew right away Khalil's gonna get fucking knocked out because he was throwing nukes, completely gassed out, and you can't do that against Yuri. You just can't do it. The way he got knocked out, like, I don't know if he was just exhausted and just fell over. It didn't really seem like the shot he got hit with was all that bad. It just seemed like his body was just turning off at that point, like he was just like done, like physically exhausted because it was a high-paced fight. So it was just frustrating. Yeah, I love Yuri. Like, I love Yuri. I want him to win. I'm a fan of Yuri, so don't get it twisted. Like, I like Yuri a lot. It's just, in terms of like making reads and picking fights, you look at these two fighters and you're like, Khalil really was the better striker all around. I mean, he really worked Yuri for the first 2 rounds. It wasn't even close. And then he gasses out and gets caught in the third. Very frustrating because you got all these fanboys on social media giving me shit. They're like, oh, like, you know, you're an idiot. How could you ever pick against Yuri? Yuri's not good, man. Yuri is not good. And if they do Pereira versus Yuri 3, I'm saying this right now, Alex Pereira I will have as an absolute fucking lock against Yuri. Any high-level striker with decent cardio and a chin that won't get cracked is going to beat Yuri. I mean, literally, Yuri has only won in the UFC from dragging fights out. I mean, literally, he got Glover in the fucking 5th round that he was losing. He was losing originally against Rakic, but Rakic has chin problems. He cracked Rakic's chin. Jamal Hill got reckless in the 3rd round after he was 1-1 tied. Poatan fucked him up twice. Khalil was beating his ass, and then he gassed out. I mean, literally, you look at Yuri's record, he's not good. I mean, and this fight proved to me more than anything, Yuri's just not a good striker, man. He's not a good fighter. He's just a cardio demon. And this fight proved it to me more than anything. And Khalil, you know, I was really upset too because he looked career best, man. Khalil looked so good. It was just his cardio, man. His cardio failed him. He paid the price for it. I will say though, I'm a big fan of Yuri and Khalil. I love them both. And I will say, shout out to Yuri for not giving up. I mean, he's down 2 rounds. He's getting his ass kicked. What does he do? He never gives up. He never quits on himself. Pushes through the fire. Comes back. Huge comeback. Come from behind victory. So shout out to Yuri for that win. I mean, obviously he deserved it clear as day. Nothing but respect for both of those guys. They put on a fucking war. Banger of a fight. Fight of the card for sure. Absolute banger. Amazing performance from both guys. So nothing but respect for Yuri. I'm not saying this because I'm not bitter. It's just more so like from the pick perspective, I still feel like I made the right pick. I'm happy with the decision there. It's just, I picked the better fighter lost. And that's just what it is. You know, the better fighter lost. I didn't like the line. The line was completely blown out. At one point, you know, Khalil was like a minus 1,000 favorite in the end of that second round. It's just frustrating. This one, I was pissed. This one made me pissed. But anyway, it does it for that. You know, yeah, also, I had a little bit of a sprinkle. Roundtree via knockout at plus 330. Absolutely crazy. There were a couple of times where he rocked Yuri and he just wouldn't go for the finish. You know, he was being way too timid. So I do think the one thing that Khalil fucked himself, that was it. There were multiple times where he rocked Yuri. And Yuri has a good poker face. You know, he was trying to play it off. He hurt him, and then he just wouldn't go for it. it probably cost him. If I was him, I would have tried to really go for it in that second round because Yuri's just not going to stop. His gas tank is elite. He's quite literally the light heavyweight Merab. That is Yuri. His hands are not that good. It's just he has cardio, and if you can't put him out, he's going to wear you down, and that's exactly what he did. But shout out to both guys. Now, next up, we have Merab Dvalishvili versus Corey Sandhagen. Absolute banger of a fight. I thought Corey was going to get fucking starched there in the second round. I was a bit concerned. I was a bit worried, but he ended up pulling through, ended up cashing us on our play of the week. As you guys can see, too, play of the week, we got screwed on a couple lines. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of fights, not a lot, but there were a couple. The Patchy Mix one was absolute bullshit. I think we deserved that win. But honestly, screw Patchy Mix. He shit the bed yet again. It's not even like I'm not even super mad about the outcome of that fight, even though I disagree with it. It's just more so the principle of he really made it that close. And so that really cost us. That was the only parlay of the night that ended up missing. If that would have hit, we would have been cashing on the night, which pissed me off so much. I was so mad about that. But the play of the week though ended up hitting. So I know some of you guys just like tailing the play of the week. So at least we cashed there. So if you just tail the play of the week, ended up cashing. And really, it just all came down to profitability on the night. Fucking came down to Patchy Mix, which was extremely frustrating. But I know you guys can't see this. Wait, let me scroll down. These are a couple parlays I added after the fact. Ended up basically breaking even on these. I had a little Edmund Shabazian and Atabagatier by KO. Very small, 0.1 units. 0.5 units back in, pretty much nothing. Then after that, I had Joe Pyfer versus Atabagatier by KO. I doubled down. After Patchy Mix shit the bed, I doubled up 2 units. I threw it on this. Ended up hitting cash in because I figured, all right, I was confident in Joe Pyfer, and I knew with this parlay after it missed, I had nothing left on Joe Pyfer. I really wanted something, and I just played it with safe with Atabagatier, just a slight little parlay there. So that ended up cashing, but then I had another unit in 2 different parlays with Big Ank parlaying it up at the very end, last fight of the night. Ended up missing both of these, so pretty much was a fucking wash. It was so annoying. Couldn't have seen that coming. But I will say though, between these 2 parlays, I was super excited to see Big Ank get smoked. Seeing Poetan do his thing was awesome. That's probably one of the few bets where you have a bet miss and you're actually excited. Like that was like one of the only times that really happens. And I kind of went into it knowing, I was like, all right, it'll be a win-win. If Ank wins, make a little bit of coin. If he loses, we got Poetan back for another little championship run. I don't know how much longer he's going to fight. Maybe another year or 2 tops. I don't know, but glad to see him with the belt. Whooped Ank's ass. The bar was going crazy that I was at. It was so much fun. It was a banger of a fight. Shout out to Pereira. He went out there and really walked him down. He didn't give a shit. And it would have been very curious to see how that fight would have gone on had he not been so aggressive out of the gate. Shout out to Pereira, though. Got it done. Big Ank, no more. Sit that motherfucker down, man. I hope Big Ank, I don't know who they just get him away from the belt. No rematch. Fuck a trilogy. I don't want to see any of that. I hope to God they do not do a trilogy. Because they shouldn't. I mean, one was a close decision, and then one was a first-round knockout. Don't give him the trilogy. He did not earn the trilogy. Or at least make him fight at least one other person before. I mean, make him fight someone else. But in terms of Alex, what do we do with him at this point? I don't know, man. I'll tell you what, though. If they do Alex versus Yuri 3, they won't. There's no way. But if they do, I'm telling you right now, we're throwing 10 units on Alex Pereira. 10 units on Alex Pereira if they do that. Just because I'm interested to see how all these guys get matched up. Because now we got Carlos Olberg in the mix. I don't know how they're going to match all these guys up. I don't know. Are they going to do... Who's Yuri going to fight next? Who's Khalil going to fight next? Olberg versus Yuri? Or are they going to give one of those guys a title shot? I don't know, man. This is very, very weird. And you got Jan in the mix, too. And you got a couple other guys. I mean, you got the Azmat guy who's on the come up, too. He's been on a fucking ferocious tear right now. But other than that, I mean, you got Rakic in there, too. You got Jamal Hill. And I don't know who the hell he fights next. But in terms of, like, who's really, like, top of the top, I don't know. It'll be interesting. In terms of the bets, I'd love to see Alex versus Yuri 3. But they're probably going to give him Olberg, which is winnable, but it's going to be tough. I don't know how many pay-per-view buys that'll sell. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's going to really draw a crowd. They know the UFC. They know they only have Alex Pereira for another year or 2. Huge name, huge draw. Maybe he goes to heavyweight. He could do that. He could just do it. Getting older. I don't know what the play is, but I mean, he's not beating Tom. There's no shot he beats Tom. I don't know if they would even do that fight. If they give him light heavyweight shot, how many fights are they going to make him do before he would fight for a title fight? I don't know. Or they just give him like the Islam treatment where he can just go straight up. Who knows? I don't know, man. This is very interesting because it's not like he's been undefeated with these title defenses. You know, he just got his belt back. So who knows what they're going to do with Alex Pereira. I'm excited, though. As long as they don't give him Ank for a trilogy, I'll be happy. Any matchup will be fun, at least. So, anyway, guys, that does it. Or I guess, actually, no. I guess we can talk about the picks, too. In terms of the picks, the only one, Patchy Mix, absolute fucking bum. I can't. That was just like really. I just had to sit there and watch that. Like really. And I was at the bars too, and there was no. The audio wasn't there. It was they had music going, and they're waiting to get the hands raised. I'm like, all right, Patchy won here. Like, all right, let's see it. And it's delayed and it's long. Like I'm waiting there, and you can tell like they're talking. I'm like, oh shit, it's gonna be a split decision. I'm like, oh, like this was a closer one than I thought it was. And I see Jacob's hand get raised. Little Wicklock's little motherfucker. I'm like, oh my. But in terms of the picks, besides that, pretty happy. Got the lock hitting. And, you know, the trap, I was happy about this. Trap, big underdog, and Ramiz Brahimaj ended up cashing. So we had a really good trap there. Had a really good lock. High confidence picks besides the damn Patchy. Absolutely cashed. Even the medium confidence picks, you know, all went pretty damn well. The Cleo one, we talked about it. It was kind of, he just gassed out. But other than that, it was a damn good pick. And this one surprised me, though. Pereira winning that fight. It definitely surprised me. You know, as we talked about, when they are rematches with fights, the fighter who won the first time wins 70% of the time. So Poatan went against the statistics. The older guy, who's honestly less well-rounded than Ank, ended up winning. So definitely surprised me there, but in the best way possible. Absolutely loved it. You know, let's go Poatan. Shama is back. Shama to Shama. It is back. So anyway, guys, that does it for the recap video for UFC 320. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for all the love on the videos. Thank you guys for all the likes, the comments, the subscriptions, memberships, all that. Thank you guys so much for all the love. But in the meantime, I'm going to get started on this next week's card. It's going to be fun. We got Oliveira and Gamera. Going to be an absolute banger. Excited to break this one down for you guys. So in the meantime, I'm going to get to working on those videos. But anyway, guys, it's your boy Jacob from Topside MMA, and I'm out. So peace.